Hello everybody and welcome to this week's episode of Analysing Anfield. Keeping with the theme of the past few weeks, I'm still hosting the show, Josh Williams, and I'm still joined by David Hughes. How are we?
I'm very good, mate. Thank you.
Just a brief introduction this week, yeah.
Yeah, we've already done all that now, haven't we? I think hopefully people are getting used to me now.
Hopefully, yeah. So last week we addressed Newcastle, we addressed Chelsea. We obviously played Chelsea, and we're going to address how we played, how we performed, the results of the match. We're also going to talk very briefly about MK Dons, have a look ahead to Sheffield United and then Red Bull Salzburg. So we'll get straight into it. You know, no messing about really. I think Chelsea straight away, game of two halves. I don't know about you.
Yeah, definitely. Thought it was an interesting game, and certainly at full time it felt I don't know, as if Liverpool were holding on a little bit. I think that would be fair to say. Yeah,
I think generally in the first half, you know, we've obviously spoke a lot about Chelsea being very random side at the minute, hard to contain to the extent where they can't really contain themselves.
Yeah.
So I think we did really well in the first half to just keep things under our control. Even without the ball, I'd say Liverpool still had no authority over proceedings, still seemed to be in control of what was happening. So very little randomness materialised. I thought we only faced 4 shots as well, which, you know, it's not too bad considering you're going to Stamford Bridge.
Nope.
I'd say Tammy Abraham's shot was the only shot of note.
Yeah.
Obviously well saved by Adrian. But I think generally it was a good first half performance.
Yeah, I agree in the sense that you talk about it being controlling. I agree. It wasn't panicked really, was it, at any point? The only thing is, still, although you only have it was one shot on target officially, wasn't there? And we know how offsides work. Anything that happens after an offside doesn't count.
Yeah.
But purely, we just set that to one side for a minute. You know, if you think of the chance that could have been created or led to a goal, the one that was ruled offside, that was a big chance. And yeah, I thought Chelsea still had a couple chances in that first half, actually. But the point I'm making is that despite that, Liverpool still felt as if they were the controlling team.
Yeah, I think they had moments, didn't they?
Yeah.
They had moments, like, just here and there, whereby, like, causes a little bit of problems, a few issues here and there. But I think for the most part, we were in control of proceedings. Obviously, Klopp went with what seems to be his big game team at the minute. Just the standard front three with a midfield of Wijnaldum, Fabinho, Henderson. In the past, that's been James Milner, but he seems to have dropped out of that now. Obviously, there's the usual back four with Matip over Gomez, and Adrian's obviously filling in at the moment for Alisson, but that does seem to be Liverpool's go-to system at the minute. They seem to be the established starters. I think in the past he's really rotated with the midfield.
Yeah.
You know, throw any midfielder in there, he'll do a decent enough job in terms of just providing a bit of endeavour, work without the ball, control without the ball, and, you know, few risks in possession and that kind of thing. But as I said, I think up until now this season, Klopp seemed to have a very favoured 11.
Well, would you agree? I think previously, formation took precedence, so to speak, and the personnel comes second almost. It was all about the tactics and how they set up. Whereas I think since Liverpool have gone this next level over the past 12, 18 months, personnel have become so important to that. You know, Fabinho again proved why he's so important. I thought he was fantastic in that.
Yeah, I thought Fabinho was flawless. I think I've described him in the past. He's in that midfield general kind of mould, I think, whereby Pep Lijnders, I've said again, Pep Lijnders has described him as a lighthouse in Liverpool's midfield. I think that's a really accurate description.
I agree, actually. I didn't know that, you know.
Yeah, it's a great description, yeah. He described our style of play as organised chaos. And he said, you know, amongst that chaos, Fabinho's the lighthouse kind of thing. And that's exactly how he performs. That's the kind of vibe he has.
I feel like sometimes he speaks in poetry, you know. Honestly, some of the stuff you come away with and you think, wow.
Well, we might as well say now, because I wasn't going to mention this because I'm not sure if we even have time in the podcast, but he took the press conference this week over Klopp, because obviously it's League Cup's not that much of a big deal. And some of the things he says, he speaks really tactically, really analytically towards the game, and it's quite refreshing. It's not something that you usually see. Klopp's obviously a genius behind the scenes. He's obviously extremely strategic in the way he thinks. But Klopp's answers, generally, you wouldn't really get that vibe, and I think he masks it quite well.
Yeah.
Maybe Linders wants to come across as insightful, so he goes that extra mile.
Takes his opportunity in front of the... You know, actually, that's a bit of a disservice to him, I think, to say taking his opportunity. I take that back, I don't mean that.
But I don't think he has to, because if I'm being totally honest, I think he's well in the frame to succeed Klopp in the future. Yeah, I think both Liverpool and City have the view of Arteta and Linders replacing the current bosses that are in place.
I suppose, and we won't stay on it too long, but if you think about it, it does definitely ease that transition period after losing the manager, doesn't it?
Yeah,
obviously nobody wants Klopp to go anywhere anytime soon, but just while we're on the subject, that does ease that pressure, doesn't it, when you transition into a new manager, if someone who's kind of knows the players and knows the philosophies that they play under. Especially
considering, you know, Linders understands the identity. He spent a couple of years behind the scenes now with Klopp, seeing exactly how he works, exactly what the intricacies of the system are, the values that we uphold. He's obviously had a slight managerial spell in Holland. I can't exactly remember the club, NEC. I'm not sure, I can't remember the club. Wasn't particularly successful, but he's got that experience behind him. And I think in the future, I do think that's something that we may see, but...
that's if he isn't poached before Klopp goes, which sometimes does happen, doesn't it, with a coach who's on the cusp of potentially going into being a manager. They can go before you get a chance to see them at the club.
Yeah, but I think based on what he's learned at Liverpool now, that possible future move that he may end up making, I think he'd be foolish to leave, if I'm totally honest. I think off the top of my head now, Steven Gerrard's obviously going to be relatively in the frame just because of who he is, what the path he's going down, kind of thing. Whether he'll be ready at the time, I'm not too sure, but I think Linders is certainly in the frame. And just listening to him speak this week, and the occasional quotes he comes out with, like the Fabinho Lighthouse quote and things like that, he has got a very interesting perspective on the game. You know, we've been segued a little bit there. We've went down the garden path there. So we'll come back and on Liverpool's 2 goals, because I think it might have been overlooked, the set piece work that Liverpool have done for these 2 specific goals, because I think it was really interesting, just the very slight details that we've added, them 1% that we seem to have worked on, that I think made a difference for both goals.
Yeah, well, they've gone on to win the game, haven't they? And Liverpool's innovation from set pieces really does impress me. Am I right in saying it was Liverpool and City who led the way, goals from set pieces last year? Is that correct?
City certainly didn't. I think City were quite far down the list, to be honest. But this season they've tried to bridge that gap, I think, by recruiting people behind the scenes.
Clearly, giving them credit they don't deserve, but from a Liverpool point of view, definitely. You know, they did score the most from set pieces.
By a fair amount,
and it's all about those marginal gains that you've just touched on there. And Liverpool, for me, just seem to... You can see the hard work that goes in the training grounds. And I'm not just talking about the goals on Saturday, which were fantastic, both of them, the way they worked them. But I've watched a little bit of Liverpool set pieces recently, and a big focus for them that other people might not notice is they always seem to be thinking about the second phase of play.
Yeah.
Where a lot of other teams will be focusing on the ball into the box and who's going to win the header to get the shot off. For me, Liverpool seem to do a lot more of winning the header to assist another player. Examples would be, quite often they'll have Van Dijk who's furthest away from the say it's Trent putting the cross in. They'll have Van Dijk furthest away. No, in another side, Van Dijk will probably be the target man for the header on goal. But what you'll find is, as I'm talking now, people will probably be thinking of examples of this happening. They'll put a lofted ball to the far side of the box for Van Dijk to attack, but he won't try and head the ball goalwards. He'll try and put it back across the goal where there's normally 3 or 4 Liverpool players lining up to get touch on it.
Yeah.
And that for me just shows the kind of it sounds very basic, but it's not really. It's important.
No, it's premeditated.
Yeah, premeditated. Exactly the same I was looking for.
It's definitely calculated. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like another example about Van Dijk, obviously with him being such a physically imposing player, we've used him in certain occasions as just as an obstacle, just an obstacle for other players to move around. He'll just stand near the keeper, won't move, won't be particularly inclined to dive for the header or to win the ball. He'll just cause disruption.
Yeah.
Just little things like that. And I think the first goal that Trent scored, you know, Klopp spoke after the game about we provide the players with, you know, learning insight into certain situations, and then they act accordingly on the pitch. We spoke recently, didn't we, about Liverpool being a lot more streetwise than City in terms of being able to manage themselves. And I think the way in which Trent just asked Salah to just knock the ball slightly away from the wall just to get a better angle. It sounds really simple, but it's stuff that other teams don't do. No, they don't. Simple as they don't. It's baffling why they don't do it, because it's simple, basic stuff, but it pays dividends if you get it right. Liverpool open the scoring. Do you think it's a lack of bravery almost? If you know that's not coming off, you're gonna look a bit foolish, aren't you? But you know. It's hard, isn't it? It's hard to see, because you see sides like Liverpool doing it so successfully, and you think, you know, why isn't that setting the tone? Or maybe it is. Maybe on the training ground as we speak, clubs are saying we need to start doing this more. I don't know, but certainly if they are, Liverpool the trendsetters, so to speak. I just think maybe there's a bit of snobbery surrounding set pieces, or there certainly has been, whereby managers and coaches maybe perceive it a little bit as, you know, when you think of set pieces, making use of set pieces, who do you think of? Yeah, you think of like the lower end teams, Pulis maybe, not particularly good reputations regarding style of play and things like that. Which you understand to an extent. It's warranted, because it's, you know, traditionally set pieces are low conversion rates, aren't they? But at the same time, as we've already spoke about, it is about those marginal gains that you can get. And on Sunday, those 2 set piece goals have won a massive game for Liverpool. Yeah, exactly. Both goals came from the set piece situations. We employ a throwing coach. That's another thing that's relatively. Well, that was sneered at, wasn't it? Big time. Yeah, big time. Yeah. Andy Gray. I remember Andy Gray's comments on it. Just really making comments like he's down the pub with his mates when he's supposed to be able to provide football and insight. But he should go out there, for me, to understand why we've done that, rather than lambasting it, if you like. But if you actually think, man, we won't get too hung up on it, but if you actually think about the basis of a throwing coach, it makes so much sense, because think how often the ball goes out of play in those dangerous areas. Like, why wouldn't you be in those situations? You know, why wouldn't you try and think of ways that you can profit from the same? You know, it's just those 1%. It's taking care of absolutely everything you possibly can. And I think Liverpool, since Klopp in particular, have been really, really good at doing that. Just a little note on Firmino's goal, for example, another little way for that situation that we influenced the set piece, using little subtle intricacies. Obviously, Trent has stood over the ball, Robertson stood over the ball. And again, this is going to sound really, really simple, but Trent rolls the ball to Robertson, and Robertson crosses. And if anyone that's played football, it's easier to cross a ball if the ball's moving and you've been fed, rather than crossing a ball that's stationary. Just an easier ball to cross. And I was tasked with writing about the game from Chelsea's perspective on Monday. And Chelsea have got an issue with zonal marking. They've conceded against Liverpool, Firmino goal. They conceded against Leicester, Ndidi, and they conceded against Wolves. That was an own goal, but it again derived from zonal marking. They've got a problem there. Most teams you will find use a mix of zonal marking and man marking, just to get the benefits of both schemes, kind of thing. Chelsea don't. Chelsea are full zonal. So if you watch the the goal back, it's really interesting to see Firmino's positioning, and then just as the ball's about to be crossed, Mane makes a very subtle run across Christensen, I think it is, moves him very, very slightly off his zone. Firmino heads the ball in, using that space. So it's something that in real time it all happens so quickly you don't really pick up on it. But I think this is the type of thing that Liverpool are all about behind the scenes. We just don't really let on too much about it.
Yeah, because why would you? It's something that you don't want to. It's an advantage that they've got over the opposition.
Yeah, and then second half, a little bit different. Second half, I think we came under the cosh a little bit, I think, towards the end especially. And it was weird because Liverpool sat on the lead. They opted to sit on the lead, which I'm certainly not used to seeing. Yeah. And it wasn't particularly comfortable either.
No, I think maybe Klopp could sense the way the game was going. And he has simply opted to shut up shop, which is a rarity actually. But it's also not surprising in the situation.
I think generally though it has a negative influence.
Yeah, it does. Well, for me, it's the psychological aspects of doing that. That's always so. I think the deciding factor in those results. And the minute you change an emphasis from defending to attacking, you naturally sit back. You make less ambition to go forward, and it's the psychological aspect that is huge in sports, and I think that's what happens when you go defensive. So, but I will be honest, I was surprised that he did choose to do that.
I mean, the subs he made, he took off Salah, took off Mane, although he did have a slight knock. Remains to be seen whether he would have took him off if he was completely fine. And he also took off Henderson. And the subs he brought on, James Milner, Adam Lallana, Joe Gomez. So we ended the match with really Roberto Firmino as our only real attacker.
Yeah.
Adam Lallana, for me, I've said plenty of times, he's keeping miles away from the front three if you can. At best, he's a central midfielder.
Yeah.
For us. He's just not got the right game for Liverpool to play in the front three. So I think we ended the match with virtually zero threat.
Yeah, well, I'm just looking now.
Inviting the pressure.
Yeah, the last 15 minutes of the match, Chelsea were averaging 0.05 attacks per minute. Liverpool were averaging 0.1.
Yeah.
So it just, you can see which way the game was going, and maybe another 10 minutes they might have found a breakthrough.
Yeah.
Luckily they didn't. But yeah, it was a strange one, and again there was a few big chances, wasn't there?
He was, yeah. I think Mason Mount had a relatively good chance that he hit over the bar. I think Abraham had a few too. Abraham seemed to try a few too many little tricks between his legs, like Cruyff type finishes.
Yeah,
which I'm not sure. I'm not sure we needed.
Abraham's a weird one because we spoke about him, didn't we, quite a bit last week?
Yeah, keep him out the box, we said.
Yeah, and we basically agreed him. He's a very accurate finisher.
Yeah, clinical.
Yeah, which certainly in that chance he had in the first half, you would have expected him to finish. And I was having a look, and he scored over his last 7 goals. His combined XG in those games was 3.1.
Okay.
Which is, I think, is pretty impressive.
Yeah, he doesn't need much, does he?
Yeah, exactly. So I was surprised at how I think it's unfair to say wasteful he was against Liverpool, but he wasn't. It kind of goes on to this theme where Dan Kennett, again, mentioned him twice in 2 weeks, but he put out a really good tweet about, let me just find it. Where was it? Oh yeah. It was that Liverpool's opponents have only converted 2 of their last 18 big chances.
Really interesting.
Defined by Opta, that is. Why do you think that is? I have a theory, but I want to know yours. I know, once again, I'm taking us down a rabbit hole, but this is what we're here for, isn't it? For these discussions.
Yeah, I mean, I think generally we them 18 chances, I'm assuming, will go well back into last season, whereby we have Alisson.
I'm pretty sure it was the last Chelsea home game.
At Stamford Bridge, you mean?
No,
at Anfield, okay. Yeah. So I think we've had Alisson for some of those. Alisson obviously tends to save shots he shouldn't. And I think generally, with Liverpool being such a unit, such a team, unified from top to bottom, very compact. Although teams will get big chances, I think usually they'll very rarely get big chances whereby there's no pressure on them.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
They'll usually be surrounded by Liverpool players. If they're taking a big shot, they'll have little time to assess the situation. They might snatch at a shot, that kind of thing.
Yeah, totally agree. That's my view on it. Because on paper or data alone, it seems crazy, but the intensity that Liverpool play at, and obviously the pressure they're putting on. Plus, if we just go back to the psychological point we were referring to earlier, for example, if we look at Abraham's chance in the first half, he's through in on goal and he had a few seconds, really, didn't he? It was probably microseconds actually looking back, but in football terms, he had some time to kind of pick where to go. And you think, Liverpool, massive game, big, massive chance, turning point, all this kind of snap thought process. And I just wonder whether that influences it. If that would have been against Wolves, for example, does he bury that quite comfortably?
Yeah. Well, we can use that as a segue, because I think it takes us on to Adrian.
Yeah.
We were supposed to talk about him last week, I think it was.
Yeah.
But we didn't have enough time.
Yeah.
And I've been asked, I think twice already this week, to talk about him.
Okay, yeah.
Just on Twitter. So when he initially came in, when Alisson got injured, we got asked, what's he like? Is he any good? And my response was, bang average. Not bad, not good, just straight down the middle, bang average.
I suppose the CV says that, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, we looked at something like 5 seasons worth of data, and he'd played something like a lot of minutes, like 15,000 minutes or something, 10,000 minutes, I'm not sure. And I think he was expected to save something like 149. He was expected to concede something like 149 goals, and he'd conceded like 150. So it was literally bang average keeper. Yeah. So since he came into Liverpool, people are now asking, is he now an above average keeper? The answer is no. And the reason the answer is no, funnily enough, is because although his performance is decent, he's still conceding. We've kept one clean sheet with him, and that was against Burnley, which he obviously overperformed that day. I think that day he should have conceded about 1.2 goals, but I think obviously he kept a clean sheet. But overall, up to now, and another thing worth saying as well, really small sample size. He's barely, he's been in charge of like maybe 8 or 10 games for us now. But he should have conceded 10.1 so far, and he's conceded 9. So obviously there's a very, very slight overperformance there, but that's by no means enough to suggest he's an above average keeper or anything like that. And when you're looking at XG and overperformance in regard to a goalkeeper and trying to identify whether he's an above average shot stopper and things like that, he's got to do it over a long period, like Alisson. And the way in which he'll do it is by keeping clean sheets. And Adrian's not doing that. We're still conceding, still winning matches. He hasn't impacted results much yet at all, but still conceding the odd 1, the odd 2 here and there. And I think, say for example, the Pookie chance at Anfield, first game of the season, I think Alisson saves that. We spoke last week, didn't we? The Willems chance against Newcastle, I think he maybe saves that. Yeah. So
is he benefiting from big moments? Is he benefiting from things that make a highlight reel? So
yeah,
he's made some good saves, but do they cloud the narrative of actually how good he's been?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's nothing in football influences the narrative more than goals. If you're a terrible player but you keep scoring, you'll be deemed somewhere as good by plenty of people probably. And don't get me wrong as well, I should say Adrian has saved shots that I would expect him not to. I'm thinking particularly Napoli. I think there was a chance there. So he has been good, don't get me wrong, but just not Alisson level. Alisson will have kept. We've kept one clean sheet so far. I think Alisson will have kept at least 3 by now, and there's the difference really. So, we don't know when Alisson will come back. Hopefully it's soon. The more minutes we get with Adrian, the more we'll see about him. But
I just think modern day Liverpool, you associate them now with clean sheets, don't you? On the back of last season.
I mean, it's worth saying we have the joint best defensive record in the league at the moment, actually, in terms of actual goals conceded. We've conceded 5 alongside Leicester.
We won't go into it, but it has been a strange start to the season, though, hasn't it? In many regards, nobody seems.
No, it's been all over the place. Yeah. It's been all over the place.
Only really Liverpool and City who are decent, but won't go into that. But the point, I suppose I mentioned that point because I say that's not really the Liverpool are better than that in terms of a gauge, aren't they?
Yeah. I think to conclude the Chelsea game, I think I just want to talk about what your stance is on winning ugly / winning lucky, because this is something I tweeted about after the match, and I wrote about it on Monday, because any scrappy win will be deemed by maybe a few old school pundits and most people, to be honest, that it's an ugly win. But is there a difference for you in terms of an ugly win versus a lucky win?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, same.
I think an ugly win can be doing the tougher aspects of the game on the day. Having to dig deep to defend and stuff. That's an ugly win for me.
Yeah.
The definition of winning ugly is not giving away big chances and then missing those chances.
Yeah, I think
Chelsea, although it's not as severe as that, does more come under the latter bracket.
Yeah. When it gets to a point whereby you're reliant on your opponents to start missing.
Exactly.
That's when you get away from the ugly thing for me and it goes a bit lucky, down the lucky route. And
the two things are different, and if you're relying on the second one more, chances are you are going to come unstuck at some point.
Yeah, like an example I used in the piece was we faced Brighton last season away from home. The match after, we just lost at the Etihad.
Yeah.
First time all season. And we won 1-0. Penalty. Mo Salah. But if you look at like the XG, the shots Brighton had, I think Brighton had about 4 shots. That XG was something like 0.3. We didn't really perform particularly well on the day. But that's an ugly win for me.
Yeah.
Whereby your opponents don't really get a sniff. You just grind it out.
Yeah.
3 points, leave. Against Chelsea, there was just a bit of reliance on the likes of Mason Mount hitting over the bar. And you don't really want to become reliant on your goalkeeper to make big saves like you did with Adrian.
And the thing is, we're talking about it not so much as a negative, but it's just you don't want to gloss over potential errors, do you? By saying it's all right, it's just an ugly win. That's what you need to do to be successful, because that's burying your head in the sand a little bit, isn't it? To an extent.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's not that we're being negative about Liverpool here, is it? It's just, it's a realism. And I think what's good about this show is you are realistic in assessments of what's happening. Trying as little bias as possible.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, there was definitely ugly aspects to it. I think it was, what I tweeted was, there was a very fine line between, it was an ugly win, yeah, but it was lucky win too. It was a very fine line between the two. Like we lost the XG on the day, mainly because of the game state. I think towards the end of the game we just started to sit on the lead. Obviously, Chelsea had more shots than us, around double the shots actually. So, obviously a win's a win, and I think considering Liverpool in the grand scheme of things, it's not something to be concerned about or anything like that.
No,
it's just maybe a narrative to address that. Liverpool are capable of winning ugly. Winning ugly is great. You don't really want to win lucky that often. Yeah, obviously you want to win.
Yeah.
But if you can keep lucky wins to a minimum,
yeah.
That's obviously the desire. So we'll move on to the League Cup, MK Dons. We're only going to talk briefly about this because we don't believe in the League Cup. So Liverpool's first League Cup win in, I think, the past 2 seasons. We've been knocked out in the third round. you catch the game? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Good, decent performance actually. We were talking throughout it, weren't we? So I missed the first 15 minutes or so, but yeah, you know, the thing that you have to remember is this isn't the Liverpool side that we're talking about most weeks on the show, is it? It's a completely different side to that.
Yeah, but the thing is, whenever Klopp's made these rotations in the past, big changes, we seem all over the place.
No, yeah,
completely
I agree.
disjointed.
And in that sense, it was a progression, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
there was. I was really impressed with the people who come in. You know, like I thought Elliott played fantastic, but we'll come on to him in a bit. A little bit disappointed by, if I do want to start with the negative, by some of the performances of the. I'd say I thought Oxlade-Chamberlain just looked a little bit slow.
Yeah.
You highlighted Keita, didn't you? That you expected a little bit more.
I did expect more, but at the same time,
he's just coming.
You've got no idea where he is with his injury.
Of course, yeah.
So, but just considering the standard of the players on the pitch, I just thought Keita would be like, completely different level. But as I said, you've got no idea where he is in regards to his recovery, so I don't want to be too harsh in that.
Yeah. I think these early stages, aren't they, just all about, you put the team out that he wants to see. If they can get through, excellent. And then if you start getting to the latter stages, then you start thinking about going on to win the thing. But I don't think Klopp would have shed any tears if he would have went out last night. But
no,
he didn't, and that's a positive.
Yeah, it's second strings really, isn't it? The players that don't really get minutes, you just give them a run out really and just keep the match fitness up.
Who do you prefer, that approach, or do you prefer Guardiola? Because he's the other side of the metric, isn't he? He's like that team they pull out again, although they've got a lot more strength in depth, was a really good side that they had out last night. No,
I like what Liverpool are doing.
Yeah,
I think City can afford to do it because they've got ridiculous depth.
Yeah.
I don't want Alisson, Robertson, Trent, Van Dijk, possibly Fabinho, Salah, Mane or Firmino to play
11.
A single minute. I don't want them to play a single minute in the League Cup unless maybe semi-final stage, maybe. But up until that point,
is that irrespective of opponents? Obviously, it's after the draw now, isn't it? We've got Arsenal.
We've got Arsenal next. I don't think I'd use any of those players I've just mentioned. If we get through, great. It's at Anfield, so we've got a little bit of an advantage over them. But it's just it's an outdated tournament for me. It's just an outdated competition. It's a competition that demands you use resources, but then as a result, you may then fall down in a Champions League semi-final towards the end of the season as a result of minutes you've wasted in the League Cup. So
it's levels, isn't it? If we were talking 3 or 4 years ago, or pre-Klopp, maybe it'd be higher on Liverpool's priority list, and for some in the league it still would be. But the top, the likes of Liverpool and even City, I know they take it serious, but as you've said, they can afford to, can't they? Because they've got the playing personnel to do so. Would a League Cup for City, would that represent a good season for them? No, it wouldn't. Would
no,
it?
Of course not. No, I think it's just from a City perspective, it's just going to do that whole treble, quadruple thing that the tag that they want. But I think from Liverpool's perspective, considering the reduced resources in comparison, and the massive drop off in first teamers compared to second stringers, you just don't want a chance. You don't want to risk minutes playing away to MK Dons in the third round of the League Cup. So obviously it's a tournament you'd like to win. If we can win it, great. Yeah. But I'd like to go maybe 80% of the way with the team that played last night rather than using our stars, because we've got much more important things to play for, to be honest. Yeah. Maybe having a bit of a harsh there. But
No. I mean, there will be some that disagree, and I still think Liverpool in a place where, okay, the Champions League win was unbelievable, but they want to try and pick up as many trophies as they can. They want to become a team picking up silverware each and every season, and the League Cup would help that. But I can't disagree with the point you're trying to make. Out of all the trophies available, it's the one that's the least valuable, isn't it?
Yeah, I think put it this way, I think I'd rather win. I think anyone would rather win the Premier League or the Champions League than an FA Cup, League Cup double.
Yeah, probably fair
about
point,
yourself,
yeah.
but
no, yeah.
For me, I'd rather put all of our top resources into the the two main tournaments that we're in, you know, the game changes, if you like, than trophies that just kind of count as silverware. You know, we've won a trophy, but at the end of the day, no one's really overly fussed about them. You tend to forget League Cup winners. Yeah. In 2 seasons.
Could you name the last 5? Well, I suppose City.
I know City are the last 2, something like that, maybe. But I couldn't really know. I'm not too fussed.
I'm the same. No, that's what the point I'm trying to make. Yeah, it's I do understand. So
one lad we will mention though.
Yeah.
Harvey Elliott. Thoughts?
Yeah, I thought he played well. You were quite shocked by my initial response today, wasn't you? Because I seemed a little bit underwhelmed, but
yeah.
I wasn't. I thought he played fantastic. It's easy to get carried away, so I'm not going to
cautious,
do so.
I think is the word.
Yeah, cautious. That's it. Yeah, but
that's definitely got to be said though.
Yeah,
he is 16
16
years old.
So much can change, can't it? But he played really well, and the couple of times I watched him at youth level, he's looked okay, but he hasn't blew me away. But yesterday he did. And I just wonder if he's just working on getting that psychology behind his game, because you know, you get naturally pumped to be playing the first team, don't you? Was it his debut? It was, wasn't it?
It was his competitive debut. Yeah, he played in pre-season for us.
So it shows that when that edge kicks in for him, he's obviously can go on to be, was it man of the match as well? So yeah, fantastic performance, and certainly one to watch. But let's just keep his feet on the ground.
Yeah, I think what I picked up on him is, obviously I've seen the minutes he's played for Liverpool in the senior team so far. I've saw a bit of him on Y-Scout, days of Fulham and things like that. Nothing too elaborate, but enough to have an opinion on his game. And you know, some of the things that have impressed me about his game, he's obviously quick off the mark. He's not particularly a top speed reacher, but off the mark, acceleration over short distances, he's quick enough there. But one thing that's, you know, he strikes the ball cleanly, good weight on passes and things like that. But one thing that I've really picked up on most, and this is something that is what's the word? It's kind of a thing of mine that I pick up on with players when I'm playing alongside players too. Does me head in if a player's bad in terms of decision making. I think decision making is massive in football, and I hate watching players or playing alongside players that just make bad, needless decisions whereby the right pass is on, but you instead try a Hollywood pass and hit it out of play, or you shoot from 40 yards, and I think
touch too much with the drill.
Yeah, or you take too long on the ball, go backwards when you should go forwards, things like that. One thing I've been impressed with regarding Elliott is just he makes good decisions. I like his decision making. Plays quickly when he should play quickly. Withdrawn movements when they're needed. Runs in behind when he has to.
So high football IQ, really.
Yeah, good decision making, good intelligence. So far, obviously, he's only 16, but he just I just like what he does on the ball. I like the way he uses the ball, his actions.
I think the positive of that as well is that's normally something that comes with age, isn't it? That's something that matures into your game. So
yeah, I mean,
you find normally the top 1% of players in the world normally are kind of displaying that at a younger age.
Yeah, Sancho's another player that has that effect on me in terms of his decision making is flawless all the time. And there's certain other players out there. I'm trying to think of a few. Maybe even Salah, to be honest. His decision making sometimes can be a bit. Just you could perfect it a little bit. I think sometimes he's a little bit raw in the decision making, and gives the ball away a lot. But that stems from his risk taking on the ball. But just players that make good decisions, I tend to like a lot. And Elliott already, even though he's 16, obviously you need to tag that to any comments you make regarding him. But he does seem to be a good decision maker on the ball. So considering he's 16, that bodes well for the future.
Would you play him against Arsenal? There's a lot of footballs it's happened in between them, but
I would play him against Arsenal. I'd play him in every League Cup, every domestic cup game. I think I'd play him.
I'd just like to see the transition into against a higher caliber of opponents, because if he can do it against Arsenal, then you do start thinking, how far away is he from influence the first team? As I said, we're only talking now. We're not predicting anything.
I wrote about him before for the Echo, just a general analysis of his performance against MK Dons, not getting carried away or anything like that. And I think it's interesting considering he's 16 years old, plays on the right of a front three and is left-footed. with a very high ceiling. And you look at Salah, I think Salah's 27, 28. Left-footed, right side of the front three. Just maybe the potential there. Successor, yeah, long term. I'm talking long term here.
Yeah.
But, you know, just little interesting note that I picked up on before when I was analysing this game and things like that he's potentially a long-term Salah type player for the front three once he hopefully develops. So, on to Sheffield United, who we've got next. To make it, I think that would be 7 wins out of 7, wouldn't it? So, what can we expect?
A tough game. No, you know, it's a strange one with Sheffield United, actually. I was quite excited when they were coming into the Premier League because British coach and stuff, and everyone was saying, yeah, he might be a British coach, but don't be expecting this kind of Allardyce-esque football. No, expect like intelligent, courageous, inventive stuff, and we just haven't really seen it so far, have we?
In bits.
Okay, yeah. What I will say is, before we go into them, they've obviously had to adapt to the Premier League, and you know, they've got to pick results up if they want to stay in the division. So I do appreciate that, but maybe I was getting a little bit excited about the pipe dream of what they were going to be, without being realistic.
Yeah. Thinking about them overlapping centre backs.
Yeah, that was it. Genuinely, yeah. Because just on that, while we're talking about it, basically they often use centre backs as an extra attacker to support the wing back. You know, the ball side midfield and the 10, which is rare, isn't it? And the idea is you're trying to even out that numerical advantage that the defence has that you're coming up against. Yeah,
they use a back three, don't they?
Yeah.
So inside that back three formation, the wider centre backs tend to overlap in the mould of a fullback almost. And obviously, if you've got runners from deep doing overlaps like that, it can cause disruption in your defence if you're having to deal with that. So it's an interesting little ploy that was imposed last season, I think, by Wilder. Might have been before. I'm not too sure actually. We've seen it a little bit this season, but nothing too drastic. But yeah, I definitely agree in terms of I wouldn't paint them in the same mould as maybe a Cardiff last season or anything like that. That's obviously completely, and I wouldn't put them in the same bracket as Newcastle or anything like that. They are definitely more front foot than that, more proactive and things. But they have got that realistic aspect about them, whereby if they have to sit back, if they have to soak pressure, you know, they're under no illusion that they are the inferior team, which you possibly couldn't say for Norwich. Norwich will play you as though they're the stronger side on paper.
They'll keep to a philosophy, so to speak.
Yeah, whereas I think Sheffield United are a little bit more adaptable in that regard.
Yeah.
So as a result, they've posted quite low possession shares so far. But they are different to the likes of Newcastle in terms of the more inclined to play out when there's the opportunity to do so. And again, when they tend to play top sides, I think they've faced Chelsea so far and they've faced Everton as well. They're inclined to become a back five, aren't they? Rather than the back three. So obviously you've got to break them down. So I think it's worth noting, considering this is the third week in a row.
You don't have to tell them every time, do you?
Considering Davies are blue. Yeah. Say that again, Davies are blue.
A good one.
Obviously Everton suffered defeat there at Goodison last week against Sheffield. So just any generic problems that Everton faced, and why Liverpool maybe. I'm inclined to think Liverpool won't suffer from the same.
No, I don't expect Liverpool to at all. No. I mean, the irony was within that game that Everton were by far the most dominant side, and Sheffield United were not. Probably they didn't play that great. It's truth be told, I haven't got the possession stats, but I'm pretty sure it was around. They had about 35% of the ball. They had an XG score of 0.18 along those lines.
first shot on target was
77.
No, that wasn't the first shot on target. That was the first shot.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
First shot was after 70 minutes.
Just for those who don't keep up with Everton week in, week out, which I'm sure there's plenty, the first goal comes first half as an own goal. So, as Josh says there, they actually didn't take a shot until the 70th minute. The first shot on target is the second goal of the game. But yeah, if it's anything like they were last week, the Liverpool face a side, like they often do now actually, because of who Liverpool are, a side that'll sit in a low block, very rigid, very little room to move. Oh, it was actually 70% possession that Everton had against them, so just 30% of the ball. But we've looked at a lot of teams who were going to do this against Liverpool and predicted it a lot, haven't we? And every time we expect that Liverpool might come a little bit unstuck in terms of breaking them down, they don't.
No, well, I think Liverpool have generally been. I saw a stat today actually saying, what was it? Something like the last 20 months might have been defeats suffered by teams in the bottom half of the table or something along those lines. Liverpool haven't suffered defeat
non-top
once.
6 teams it was.
It's non-top 6. Yeah, okay, something like that, yeah. But it, basically offers an insight into how well suited Liverpool are at the moment in terms of beating inferior teams, really. Teams that will place the emphasis on you to break them down. So the main issue obviously for Everton is they're not, I don't think they're quite used to doing that, so they're getting a lot of respect off sides in the sense that teams want to sit back, but they don't necessarily know how to break it down, so they'll do a lot of working the ball out wide and crossing it into the penalty area, but yourself, the amount of defenders that are in the box, the numerical advantage that these defensive sides have, that's bread and butter for them. That's easy to defend against. What Liverpool do really well is, short, sharp, quick passes in and around the penalty area, lots of really good movement, interchangeable, fluid, pulling these defenders out of shape and creating these openings. And that's the differences, and that's why I think Liverpool will not struggle in the same manner as Everton did last weekend. Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. I think Everton, you just said there, Liverpool are really, really good at just moving defences all over the place, pulling them sideways, backwards, forwards. Obviously, if you've got the likes of Salah and Mane running in behind, Firmino dropping the other way, you've got switches of play from side to side between Trent and Robertson. Crosses being put in by them two that are generally better than the average cross. And we against back five systems as well, we tend to pin them back. Yeah, Robertson and Trent tend to play as like wingers really, and we tend to really pin back the opposing wing back so that Sheffield, for example, they won't really have any width most of the time. No, because in a back five system, you're obviously reliant on your wing backs to provide the width, and if they're getting pinned back, you're just fully central focused. Yeah, and I think the way in which Everton conceded, certainly the second goal, it was a counter-attack, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
So if you're counter-attacking against the likes of Van Dijk and Robertson, Trent, obviously very quick, a bit more mobile than Everton's defenders, especially Van Dijk.
Yeah, well, if you at the second goal, it's a ball in behind, isn't it? Played behind the back, and that Liverpool almost invite that ball because such the trust they have in the pace, which is why they have such a high line, because they know they can get back. And yeah, I think if that passage of play, that counter-attack and play would have happened against Liverpool, I think the pass from Ludgton, which was a very good ball by the way, but I think that gets cut out rather easily.
Yeah, I think first of all, I don't even think it gets made. I think it gets blocked before it gets made. And then if it is made, I just think that's obviously on the side defence that Van Dijk plays. I think Van Dijk sweeping that up before it reaches Robinson, was it? Robinson?
I can't remember now. Yeah.
Someone like that. But based on last season anyway, based on like the past year, I think Sheffield United have generally had success by creating not that much, not a great deal more than the opposing team, but what they do create tends to be quite clear cut. Whereas on the other side, on the defensive side of the game, they face about what they create. They face about the same amount as what they create, but what they face tends to be quite poor quality shots, shots from unrealistic areas, shots that are easy to save.
Shots that they probably want to face.
Yeah, low XG, we call low XG shots, but they create high XG shots. That's how they've done it generally. Since they've come up to the Premier League, they're still creating fairly high quality chances. The shots that they're facing have come up a bit, obviously because of the quality of the league. Yeah. And you'd expect that to continue against a team like Liverpool, but I think the match with Everton was just a perfect... Well, I suppose it wasn't, because they're not used to getting dominated to that extent, Sheffield United, but that kind of captured what they're about in a shooting sense. Yeah. Whereby Everton are taking loads of shots that aren't really that dangerous, but those shots that Sheffield take are quite clear cut. Yeah,
yeah, I totally agree. I'm just wondering what Everton's... I'm just checking now what their XG was from that game, because... so I mean, bear in mind the dominance that
Everton's was 1.26.
Yeah, it's not a lot, that really, is it?
No, it's not.
Considering the dominance of the ball.
Looking at the shot map there as well. Just, I mean, there's a fair amount there. They should have scored, Everton.
Yeah. Well, I said to you, didn't I? In fairness, you know, if this is an Everton podcast, so I'm not going to stay on it, but because of their inefficiencies in other games, I think they weren't given a pass on this. If they were playing well in other games, I think this would have been scratched off as one of them days, but it wasn't. But yeah, I just want to touch on Everton's XG, because that'll be, as you're saying, Josh, that'll be down to how they're defending. They might be creating a lot of chances because they're such a low quality, and that's often by design, isn't it? You know, sometimes the way they'll close the ball down, it might create a small shooting angle, but because of the size of the angle, it's not really a threat. And just these little things, that it'll all be by design, which is really a testament to their defensive capabilities, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking here at 50% of Everton's shots came from outside the box. Generally, you know, regarding analytics, that's ill-advised shooting, I'd say.
Low quality XGs, almost all the time.
You want to do what you can really to create high quality chances, high quality shots that are close to goal. So that's something, again, Liverpool, we don't tend to shoot that much from outside the area at all. Coutinho was quite bad for that. Obviously he scored a fair few as well.
Yeah.
But I think Liverpool are really good at getting inside the box, creating high quality chances, keeping pressure up. And I think although Sheffield will... Is there a nickname Sheffield or United?
United.
I think it's United, isn't it?
Man United have this thing of trying to trademark that nickname for them only, but just to annoy them, really, I always try and reference anyone else with the United as United.
Yeah, no, I'll call them United then, but I think generally, although they're very well drilled, they've got things to admire about them. I think Liverpool, again, just should prove a bit too much for them.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, to be honest.
Hopefully that will continue again into the midweek fixture, because we've got an interesting team.
Yeah.
Really, really interesting
really
side.
Exciting from a footballing point of view, actually, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Bull Salzburg.
Am I right in saying that I think it was my first show, I'm not sure how much detail you and Chris went into it, but we kind of earmarked them as an interesting team, didn't we?
Yeah.
And then they go and win 6-2 against Genk, so it kind of made the rest of Europe stand up and take notes. Maybe not in terms of a fear factor, but just very impressed.
Yeah, no, they are really the definition of an interesting club, I think they are. Because obviously they're owned by Red Bull. I've addressed this before, so they're responsible for upholding the values of the brand Red Bull. So they're just trying to promote the energy drink by playing energetic football, high pressing.
I love that. I love it. You know, I just love the old. I'm not sure if I'd like my club to be that. And you wouldn't like Red Bull Liverpool, would you? But
no, it's very clever though.
Yeah, it is
from a Red Bull perspective. Vertical football from front to back very quickly. Not much possession incest. Obviously, they tend to dominate games in Austria, but that's because of the general quality of the opposing teams.
Yeah,
mostly it's high energy Klopp style football. Really. Yeah. When Klopp arrived in England, what people perceived Klopp football to be is kind of what Salzburg try to uphold. So just a bit of insight into their season so far, and again, this will probably lead on to a 0-0 at Anfield, and we'll get slated.
I'd be surprised, mate. But
this season, anyway, in the Austrian Bundesliga and the Champions League, they're scoring 4.67 goals per match. 4.67 goals per match. They're obviously facing generally inferior opponents, which may have a massive influence on it, to be honest, because I think there's a serious gap there between Salzburg and the teams that they're facing.
Just on that point before we continue, I am really intrigued to see how they're going to set up against a top elite European side, because as you said, they dominate the Bundesliga, don't they? They dominated Genk. But this is the first time in recent history that I think they've qualified for the Champions League in terms of group stage.
Yeah.
They've played in Europa League a lot, but I just wonder how they're going to set up against a top side, because they don't play any.
No, I think that as well.
Yeah.
I think they'll go out, obviously responsible for keeping their philosophy intact. Maybe they'll be a bit more streetwise, bit less full throttle with it. But it's still a Red Bull club, though, so they still have to be identifiable.
Did you know much about the coach?
Jesse Marsh?
Yeah.
Not.
I only know what since
before he was appointed. I've looked into him a bit since.
Yeah.
I mean, just on Salzburg's games, the last games, right, going from most recent: 2-2, 6-2, 7-2, 5-1, 5-0. 6-0, 5-2, 4-1, 2-0. That's the bottom of my screen. That's insane.
Yeah,
they're crazy games, and again, you can't really. You have to mention that this is a weak league. But you know, they played Chelsea in pre-season. They got beat, but it was 5-3.
Which means mayhem.
Yeah, they also played Real Madrid, though, and got beat 1-0. But that's looking at their season so far, that's a complete anomaly.
I know that out of those 9 games, 7 of them they had an XG of over 2.5 as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. The XG suggests that they should be scoring the same.
Yeah, that they're creating high quality chances.
Yeah, they create plenty inside the box and things like that. And it's gonna be a really interesting match. They're very interesting tactically. The identity they've got, how they run. The scouting network as well, which we'll come on to now. Scouting network's obviously superb.
Yeah.
Red Bull are renowned for having a really, really thorough scouting network whereby they're able to unearth hidden gems, really, and eventually sell them for a profit. We obviously got Sadio Mane from Southampton. Southampton got him from Salzburg. We got Naby Keita from Leipzig. Leipzig got him from Salzburg. I'm trying to think of some other players who've moved recently from there. Who was the lad you mentioned the other week who went to Wolfsburg, but you had the feeling he was still there?
I can't remember off the top of my head. I remember the conversation, but
Schlager.
Yeah.
Xavier Schlager or something like that. Good player.
Yeah.
Samasaku, midfielder. I'm not sure where he is now. I'll check that.
I'm trying to, is it the way that works between Leipzig and Salzburg? Is that like a gentleman's agreement that they take whoever they want as part of that franchise? I'm
not exactly sure how it works,
because there must be something along those lines in there, mustn't there?
Yeah, I just think they've got the same owners, really.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's no, as far as I'm aware, there's no like you can have a relationship with certain clubs, can't you? Like Chelsea had a relationship with Vitesse Arnhem, for example. Send plenty of players on loan there.
Yeah.
There's nothing like that, but with it being a network of clubs, that they just make use of that, really. And I think it's almost like a graduation system whereby if you get too good for Salzburg, you'll move to Leipzig. Too good for Leipzig, you'll move to Liverpool.
I was waiting for that.
But I think one of the most recent players that they've signed, who is setting things on fire, is Haaland, Erling Haaland.
Yeah.
19-year-old kid. Really, really, really promising. And it's going to be very interesting to see him come to Anfield because
Do you mean transfer me?
Hopefully. No, but since the season he's having at the minute, we'll go into a bit of detail, but he's having a wonderful season. But he's only the best team he's played so far is Genk, really, in the Champions League. He's playing, week in, week out against teams that he is clearly a level above. I know you wrote about him recently, didn't you?
Yeah.
For Shock Man United.
Yeah.
Because, Solskjaer's links there.
Yeah, he used to be his manager, didn't he, at Mould?
Yeah, he moved from Mould to Salzburg in January for a fee in the region of 5 million, I believe. And he's since, set the world on fire kind of thing.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. Yeah, a lot of people have actually asked about him since, and I'm sure you'll drill down to his numbers in a minute, but he just has on paper everything. So I'm sure he's about 6'4".
He is.
Yeah, 6'4".
6'4", yeah.
He's huge, but
19. We should stress he's 19 years old.
Yeah.
That's why we're getting excited about him. He's not. This isn't a player who's like 28.
Yeah, but just because he's got that height and that physical prowess, don't be expecting some sort of laboured, slow target man. He's got pace, hasn't he? And he's
very quick, yeah.
Yeah, and he's got fast feet and he's explosive and he's almost. I can't think of a player like him. Can you think of anyone who in Europe now who kind of is of his mould, that size? And
I don't know. Van Dijk.
In terms of a forward,
generally players that are physically built though, they do lack the speed, don't they?
Yeah. It's normally one or the other. He has everything, and he's a goal machine, as Josh will probably talk about now.
Just a bit of generic info on him. He's 19 years old, as we said, left-footed, Norwegian, and he's played. I've got him down for 10 games this season. Scored 17, assisted 5. That's a serious output.
Yeah, he scored 9 in one game in the Under-20 World Cup against. I think that was against Honduras against Genk in the Champions League opening fixture. Scored a hat-trick. And I think of all them goals as well, I think one was a penalty. So this isn't a case of his numbers getting boosted by penalties. Yeah. And based on this season so far, obviously only 10 games played, be interesting to see his numbers at the end of the season. But up to now, he's posting 4.8 shots per 90. For a bit of perspective, I think Mo Salah is on about 3.7 shots per 90. Sadio Mane tends to post around 3 shots per 90. So this 19-year-old kid is posting 4.8. And just to provide a bit of further context, I looked at the past calendar year. Players in Europe's top 5 leagues to have shot 4.8 times per match or more. 2 results. Do you have a guess? Who's the other one?
Go on, have a guess. No, Haaland's not one of them.
Oh, really?
Haaland's playing in Austria, isn't he? So that's not one of your top 5 leagues.
No idea, mate. Go on.
Messi? Ronaldo?
You know what? That's quite embarrassing. I didn't just do the obvious guess there, but
you know what I mean. That offers a bit of insight, hopefully, into how uncharacteristic 4.6 shots per match.
It's only 2 of the best ever. Doing it.
Yeah. We've said before on this show that the more you shoot, the more you tend to score. And Haaland is epitomising that at the minute. So it'll be really interesting to see how he does in what is really going to be his first big test against the top team in a top competition.
Yeah,
he might not even get a kick, but he's about as physically built and about as physically gifted as Van Dijk, which is crazy considering he's 19.
Yeah,
but he's about as tall as him. I think Van Dijk's 6'4" He's quick, strong, so it'll be interesting to see how he does.
I mean, if he scored at Anfield, it would be. I mean, it'd be hysteria, wouldn't it? Then people would genuinely be seeing this guy. You'd be talking, 80-90 million bids, maybe?
Yeah,
is that too dramatic, is it? I don't know.
Well, considering United need a striker, they've got very little in attack. He's worked with Solskjaer before. It wouldn't surprise me at all if United just went and bid whatever Salzburg want for him.
If he keeps scoring at the rate he is, I think, sadly, it'll be a pat on the head for them and move on. It'll be somewhere a little bit bigger, but...
Yeah, so...
just someone else I want to flag, by the way, just in terms of their players... Dominic Zubarsley. I know he's a wide attacker. He's
a Hungarian lad.
Yeah, he's doing really well.
Yeah.
Number 14 is, if you want to keep a watch on him. Nearly 3 shots per 90 minutes so far this season, and 3 goals in his last 4 games. He's another one that I'm interested to see if he can translate that kind of form into playing someone at the calibre of Liverpool, because again, I expect him to probably get a bigger move if he can. So he's maybe just, Haaland will be taking all the headlines, but he's one maybe to just keep an eye on. Number 14 he is.
Yeah, they're just generally a talented young squad usually.
Yeah.
They tend to keep the age quite low and, you know, make use of the sale value really once they get to a certain level.
Yeah.
So we'll end anyway with verdicts. So Sheffield United.
Yeah. I think they'll make Liverpool work for it, but I'm expecting a 3-1.
I'm going to say 3-0 on that one.
Clean sheet.
Yeah. For the reasons you've just said, really, I think it'll be similar to the Everton game whereby we're dominating. But I think we'll manage counters better and we'll break them down better, really. And Salzburg.
Again, I think
11-9.
I was just about to say, genuinely about to say, I think it'll be a bit madness. I'm going to go 5-2 Liverpool.
5-2, okay. I'm going to go... It could be anything, honestly. It really depends on how they set up when they come.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 4-1. Something like that, 4-2 maybe. I'm not sure. It'll be interesting to see how they set up though. We'll talk about this again next week. So do join us. It'll be me and Dave again. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, cheers.
And tune in next week.